The scene is set here at the historic Chatsworth House.
Dressage, show jumping and cross country, we will be bringing you all of the action across the weekend from the heart of the Derbyshire countryside.
World champions record holders will all be battling it out in what promises to be the most competitive field ever seen.
30 riders from 8 nations, 8 former leg winners and 5 of the world's top 10.
Who has what it takes to win? This is Eventing Reinvented. This is the Event Rider Masters 2019.
Welcome to the 2019 Event Rider Masters Series, back bigger and better than ever before. It all starts this weekend at the historic Chatsworth estate, the seat of the Duke of Devonshire and home to the Cavendish family since 1549. From the Baroque balustrades and gilded galleries of the house to the unique challenges of the iconic hills, Chatsworth House is a setting as timeless as the sport itself, and it is the perfect backdrop for the extreme sport of eventing. Yesterday was all about the style and grace of dressage. A little bit earlier on today, it was all about the precision and accuracy of show jumping. But this afternoon, it is all about the thrills, the spills, the adrenaline, the speed and the drama of the cross country. Welcome back to Chatsworth. Settle in, sit back, relax, because all of the cross country action is coming your way. In the studio with me, 5-star event rider Angus Smales, and also from Echo Ratings, we've dragged him out of his corner. Dan Byrne will be bringing us all of the stats as well. Guys, looking forward to having you with us this afternoon.
Yeah, looking forward to unfolding, and let's say pressure on Starkey now, isn't it? Die Body did a brilliant job in the jumping, so we'll see if the cross country can upset the leaderboard as much. Live
up to expectation. Well, of course, it is a 3-phase competition. Today is about the jumping, but yesterday was all about the dressage.
Day 1 at the Dodson and Horrell Chatsworth International Horse Trials for leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters' epic journey this year, and with 5 of the world's top 10 in attendance. The Derbyshire Dales will have a test in store for competitors in the cross-country finale, but before that it was time to strut their stuff and set the standard for the competition ahead with the dressage. The weather had made the conditions tough for the competitors to perform to their predicted level, but the horsemanship shown by the world's very best means the standard is still very high. Australia's Bill Levitt and his Event Rider Masters specialist, Shannondale Titan, performed almost exactly to expectations, scoring a 28.5 and putting them in third. Bringing Amman de Benneville was German Olympian Julia Krajewski. Accruing just 27.4 penalties from our judges, she slotted into second place and might have a new superstar and German Championship team horse on her hands. But it was Event Rider Masters podium pair from 2018, Laura Collett and London 52, who bested the field. Their score of 26.9, set at the beginning of our final session, lasted through to hold the overnight lead.
He was super. He's still so shy, and in an atmosphere like that he does get a little bit tense, but he stayed with me. He was pretty scared going down the centre line the first time when he saw the tower, so every time he went up that end he kind of froze a bit, but luckily he didn't do anything too drastic.
Join us for all the show jumping and cross country action live on Facebook and eventridermasters.tv and see who will take victory at this first leg of the 2019 Event Rider Masters.
Well, it was a tough day of dressage yesterday. The weather was not on side at all. And Angus, that led to some pretty challenging conditions at times.
Yeah, like we said earlier, the weather was raining a lot, which led to the later tests having quite a muddy arena, which definitely affects the horses and riders. And it's played a big part out on the cross country as well, because obviously we have had horses round some of the course already. So the track is cut up in places, and that will play a big part as to whether the horses cope or don't cope with drying out ground, and as the ground is very wet to start with, it's almost easier. The wetter it is, you almost want it to stay wet. As it starts to dry, the ground becomes more energy sapping, well, imagine basically you're putting your feet 3 inches into the ground and then getting held in the ground. It tires you out a lot quicker.
Chatsworth cross country is tough anyway. We'll come on to the cross country in just a second, but in terms of earlier on in the show jumping as a whole, we had 6 clear rounds from 29 who came forward. It was competitive and the leaderboard moved, but it was perfectly jumpable.
Perfectly jumpable, and actually pretty much on par with what you would expect from an Event Rider Masters show jumping round. Chatsworth is one of the venues where we saw more clear rounds jumped, than most other venues. So Barbary also has a high one. So we were probably thinking, if it plays to par, you could be looking at 9 or 10. We had 6. I think we had enough movement, but it pretty much played to par. I think most of the people we said were going to jump clear did. I'm happy with where it is.
Well, one combination that you did say we're going to jump clear were our dressage leaders. They're the hot favourites this weekend, Laura Collett and London 52. Laura came in having to jump, well, she had a pole in hand ahead of Sam Watson, but she'd had a pole last year, Sam. It had proved expensive. A bit of a point to prove, and she certainly proved it.
I think it shows the tough nature, and at highest level of sport, it's such fine margins. Mr. Bass last year, when he had that pole, it was critical really for them in terms of their show jumping. So you're looking at it here, Angus. This is Sam Watson on screen.
Well, Sam actually climbed up from 7th into 2nd, so he had a clear round. He capitalised on the problems that others had, and he deserved that clear round, Angus.
Sam, to be fair, gave that horse an unbelievable round. I mean, he was millimetre perfect the whole way round, and you see the little fist pump at the end there. Sam knew what that meant as he jumped the last. He knew that was going to bring him up the leaderboard.
Well, there was some disappointment as well. Sarah Cohen-Treason dropped out of contention. They've been a huge part of the series. It was sad to see them having 3 down and a few time faults.
We knew it was a risk. We probably didn't expect it to be 3. I think there was probably a couple of others. Zagreb is the other that I would highlight, that both of those have the speed cross country, but they needed that platform. Chris Burton, of course, being the other. The clear round, 1 pole, 10 seconds, that's what's giving you the platform. Unfortunately, it just cost them today.
Well, we'll bring you an update on withdrawals in just a second, but this afternoon it is all about the cross country, the thrills and the spills, and eventing. It really is an extreme sport.
For the 4th time, the Event Rider Masters makes its season debut at the Dodson and Horrell Chatsworth International Horse Trials, and Ian Stark has set a 6-minute 16-second challenge for the competitors. The Northern know-how at fence 5 has his signature forward attacking strides. The Dodson and Horrell Queen Mary's Bower has an inviting fence in promoting boldness, which might be caught out at the skinny B and C elements. A gallop up the hill to the Equitrek Endeavour, a conundrum requiring judgment between steady balanced riding and attacking boldness. At fence 12, exactly halfway around the Dodson and Horrell 80th anniversary splash, another accuracy question which will look dramatic but shouldn't trouble the world's very best. Fence 14, the Event Rider Masters Stag's Heads. A leap into space before choosing their line through 2 steeply angled hedges. The Wilbury Wonder Pony Flyer at 17 is a huge set-up fence for the SAP technology corners, which calls for accuracy and responsiveness at the end of a challenging course. Final fence at 19 before a gallop to the DHL finish line to deliver a clear inside the time. It's all to play for, and as ever, we don't know who will be standing atop the Event Rider Masters podium until the final horse and rider combination have crossed the line.
Well, that is what is in store for each of our competitors a little bit later on. In fact, a very, very short period of time, because just over 5 minutes' time, the first combination due out on course will be Izzy Taylor even, and Spring Power. Angus, Ian Stark, the cross-country course designer here, he's renowned for good, tough, challenging, fair forward courses.
Yeah, and I think this is one of Ian's best courses I've seen here for a while. There's a lot of content to the course, and it really will take a lot of riding, so it should hopefully provide a very entertaining spectacle.
I'm sure it will provide an entertaining afternoon. We've seen what's in store for our riders, but eventing, it is an extreme sport.
It's difficult to find a top eventing rider that is good in all three phases or has exactly the right character for all three phases. In the same way, we're looking for the horse that's good in all three phases, and it's rare, it's hard to find.
I guess the sport at the very highest level requires a particular type of competitor. You have to be a little bit ruthless, a little bit selfish.
It takes discipline, determination, almost a little bit of stubbornness runs in with that determination. I think that you just have that will that you're never going to give up.
Yeah, the risks and dangers and little pitfalls and dips and things you need to watch out for in our sport are many. They're vast, they're varied. We, at the end of the day, are riding very expensive horses, and with that comes a lot of interest, if you like, from the owners of those horses, from other people that would be slightly interested in those horses.
Highs and lows, thrills and spills, risks and rewards. Event riding is an extreme sport and not for the faint-hearted.
I had a pretty horrific fall back in 2013 and I was knocked out, was in a coma for a week. I had a punctured lung, lacerated liver, broken ribs, broken shoulder, broken cheekbone, and I guess the biggest and the only long-lasting thing was I lost the sight in my right eye. Luckily it still moves and no one would know, but that was something that I had to adapt to.
There's a lot of places where you're at risk of injuring yourself in the equestrian sport. One that really stands out was the end of last year, an event called Little Downham. As I was coming into the fence on my inexperienced advanced horse, we had a difference of judgment where to take off. Last minute, emergency brakes went out. We both went into the log. He took the log on his neck and I went down underneath him in the ditch, which kind of left him coming on top of me. So he wriggled around a little bit on top, and then he got up and trotted away, no problems, thank crikey for him. But I was down there feeling a little bit worse for wear. So once they checked out that I was all okay to move, I got up and crunch, crunch underneath my back protector in the side here. So a couple of ribs down at that point and a bit of a twisted knee. But yeah, it's just part and parcel. If you're going to do this, you're going to have to take a few knocks.
Well, the DHL finish line is where riders will be hoping to be on time at the end of their round. But this is the leaderboard as things stand. Laura Collett, London 52, out in front, 26.9 ahead of Sam Watson, Tullabeg Flamenco. Laura 10 seconds in hand. She can go over the clock that much on the cross-country to hold her position. Julia Krajewski, Amanda Beneville also in a podium position. And a little bit further down, look out for Bubby Upton, Fernhill Rockstar, Yasmin Ingham, Rehe DJ, and of course Tom McEwen, Figaro Van Het Broeksoff, still in with a chance of a climb up that leaderboard too. Bit of disappointment in the show jumping for the likes of Pippa Funnell and Alex Bragg, who both had 2 poles down, but clears for Tim Lips and Cathal Daniels see them climb up the leaderboard into the top 20. Treason, Sarah Cohen, they had a real disappointment in the show jumping, 12.8 to add in total. And just a bit of an update for you, some withdrawals to bring you. Oliver Townend, Ludwig Svenestall and Chris Burton all withdrawing from the competition, so they won't be coming forward in the cross country. But let's take a look at that running order, because we will be reverse order for the top 20. So the reverse order for the top 20 means that Laura Collett, London 52, will be the last combination to head out on course. Izzy Taylor, Spring Power, what a way to get us started. Likewise, Astier Nicolas, Apage de Mansell will give us a really good indication of how Ian Stark's cross-country track is riding. Sarah Cohen, hugely experienced with Treason, as is Cathal Daniels, Ryogan Ruet. Watch out for those two to climb. Then we've the likes of Susie Berry Stonehenge, Molly Summerlin, she will flag up on the Equirating speed ratings. Charlie Van ter Huyten, watch out for her. She's on a score of 36.2, and then we head inside the top riders. Bubby Upton, Lucy Jackson, both capitalising with good clear rounds in the show jumping, and last out on course it will be Laura Collett and London 52, 26.9. So that is the running order. That's the way the combinations will be coming forward. It will be fast, it will be furious, and we've absolutely no doubt that riders will be pushing for that time. 6 minutes and 16 seconds, the optimum time set by our course designer Ian Stark, and Izzy Taylor gets us underway. This is going to be our first opportunity to see the start, and Izzy is away on course. So Izzy, Spring Power is our pathfinder. Now Angus, talk us around this track, because you've been out there on course, not riding this exact course, but you've been out, you know the Chatsworth Hills. What can we expect?
It's always tough here at Chatsworth. The hills, the undulations, like here coming to fence 3, you just see literally the ground just disappear and rise again. And there's loads of little nooks and crannies and bits of terrain like that the whole way round. So the horses never really get a true respite. It's not like they get an 800 metre of flat ground to gallop on. The riders are always negotiating their way round something, and it makes it unique basically to the rest of the world.
Well, Izzy goes on to the Thomas Irving Equestrian Superstore combination at 4A and B, and the ground really does drop away there. An accuracy question at the B element, and Izzy safely clear through that. Now, Dan, we've talked a lot in the past about the speed required here at Chatsworth. Time is always costly.
Time is always costly. It's so few people. I mean, it's less, I think it's 8 now from nearly 1,800 runs who've actually been inside the time here at Chatsworth. Looking at the other class, the other international here at Chatsworth, the average time penalties from that class were 14.4. That's 36 seconds over the time.
And that's here this weekend, over a very similar course.
That's here on this ground, on this track. Now, what the key one that I would notice is that we bring an incredible field forward. If you look at 2016, it was an average of 10 time penalties. 2017, a little bit of a drier year, it was 7.2 was the average, and in 2018, 11. I wonder if our average today might be higher, no matter how good quality of a class we have. Angus, you talked about that sticky ground. It's going to be a big challenge, but let's get back to the jumping. Izzy Taylor on screen.
Yeah, so Izzy is now coming to what really is one of the first proper questions on this track. Now, I rode this exact fence yesterday, and I asked Ian what he wanted in the water, 3 or 4, and we see Izzy go beautifully on 4 strides between the first brush and the second brush, and she takes a slightly quicker option on the way out. There's two options, and it really is whichever one your horse catches on first. Now this, a very interesting question, but
now,
easy.
The Voltaire saddle sits tight at 8A and B. That second angled brush, you can't quite appreciate from our view just how acute that angle is.
No, it's incredibly acute, but it's so common now. Angles are very common in our sport. We saw at Badminton a lot of angled fences, and the horses, we train them obviously over these angles, and they just get used to it.
Well, Izzy Taylor, Spring Power, 47.2 her starting score, heads off up the hill as Astier Nicolas, a Page du Mansell away on course. And I think we can agree from looking at Astier heading out past the Event Rider Masters podium, he's not setting out chasing the clock.
No, and I just about to say it'd be very interesting where Izzy is on the time, because she is one of the fastest riders in the world. Will she set off full pelt? I doubt she will, but she never rides with the handbrake on, so it'll be interesting. That'll give us a good gauge, hopefully, of how difficult it is.
Well, we'll do a clock check on Izzy in just a moment. She's coming up the hill, one of the really steep hills for the Dodson and Horrell anniversary splash, and a new big drop down into the water. She's 2 minutes and 30 left on the clock. She's a little bit down on the time as she actually approached that water, but she's certainly close enough to it.
Yeah, and I really like that water because the Trakehner looks massive. So as a rider, we walk up to it and we absolutely, you know, need a spare pair of underpants because it looks enormous. But actually the horses, to them, they can see exactly what's behind it. They know exactly what they want to do. And Izzy's horse just popped in quite casually, really.
Made it look very straightforward.
Yeah. Which is the art of good course designing, is that it's supposed to look enormous for us, but the horses read it and just get on with it.
Well, she goes to the Event Rider Masters Stag's heads here, so she's 10 seconds down on the clock as she comes to those stag heads, but easily done there.
That was very good, and you notice how she changed her pace a lot coming to the first element, the log, and that's so that she if you take off in balance, you land in balance. Then she could ride forward to the double of brushes and really attack it, because then you can support the horse, and then when you're supporting them, they're less likely to make a mistake.
Well, Astier Nicolas Page de Mansell coming to Queen Mary's Bower at 7 A, B and C. And he's really slowing riders up, isn't he, Angus, by making them go around, almost on a roundabout before heading back out on course.
Yeah, it's very important that you change the shape of the horses as they go around. As a designer, you want, and as a rider, well, as a designer, you want to test out the riders. You have to make sure that they've trained the horses properly, and you've got to run through all the things that they should be training their horses to do.
Well, Izzy Taylor, Spring Power, is giving us an excellent indication, because she is not hanging around on course. She's just under 40 seconds to get home. She's not quite going to be able to make it in terms of achieving that optimum time, but she's not going to be a huge amount over either. She's coming to the Wilbury Wonder Pony Flyer at 17, and there's a really huge ditch and brush. And then it is a real accuracy question.
So we see her come to the first corner and made a little bit of a mistake at the first corner. She knocked the flag, but actually very, very good riding from Izzy. She rebalanced the horse, rode the turn beautifully. And the thing with those turning questions is that you don't try and turn too soon. You've got to hold your line and you've got to ride the turn. Otherwise, you make the fences more difficult.
Well, Izzy just pops the last and safely clear through the DHL finish. 12 seconds over the time. 4.8 time penalties. Finishes on a score of 52.0. Think we're going to see people achieve it, Angus?
I would say yes. She didn't look like she was riding with the full throttle. So yeah, I think someone will make this time. Putting my neck on the line.
Right, Astier coming to the anniversary splash, just having to work a bit hard. This horse showing his inexperience slightly.
Yeah, naivety there definitely showed how he just didn't respect that big ox table in the middle of the water. And your horses have to become streetwise. They have to become clever about how they do it, and the experienced horses just have that, like I said, that little bit more cleverness, and they won't make a mistake like that.
Well, waiting down at the start, it is Toby Piggott. Toby with Golden Forever for owner Carol Jackson Bell, wearing his Wilbury Wonder Pony strapped to his back. He'll be out on course in just a second. Page de Mansell and Astier Nicolas at the Stag's Heads. Just did well to hold the horse there. Astier took that on the 2 strides, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. So it walks that you could do it on 1, but
Izzy did it on 1?
Yeah. So when I walked it, I thought 5 and 1, 5 and 2. It's doable because it's uphill. When you're jumping uphill, you can get closer or further away from the fence.
Well, this is the first time we've seen Marlin Josefsson and Agaton. And just getting a little bit close to both of the skinny elements down at Queen Mary's Bower.
You see, the thing that lacks there from the riders we've seen go through well is the balance of the horse. This horse isn't just quite as connected. It's quite strung out, it's quite long, which then when you need balance at a question like that, and when you need connection, it's actually a little bit harder to do.
And she stood a mile off that big table.
Country mile, yeah.
Well, Marlin Josefsson heads off up the Chatsworth Hills with Agaton, as Toby Piggott just preparing to get underway with Golden Forever. Now, this is a combination who were really fast on the cross-country at Barbary last year, finished 11th there. Toby has a really nice team of horses, a very talented young jockey. 47.5 at their starting score. He'd have been disappointed with his pole down in the show jumping, I imagine.
Page de Mansell is over 17 now, the Event Riders Masters Flyer.
We're just getting confirmation through that Piggy French, who would have been just outside the top 10 in 12th position, has withdrawn. So Piggy French, if you've tuned in to see Piggy, will not be coming forwards.
Well, it's interesting, Astier, a good bit comfortably slower than Izzy Taylor, on the cross country.
But actually, I have to say, Astier is going to stop the clock 22 seconds over the time, so well below the average of the other sections. Early indications of time, I think, showing us that it is perhaps achievable.
Well, very early indications of time, and it's always very difficult to get a read when you're not necessarily sure how much the pedal is down. I think the interesting one for me is, sitting beside Angus, getting that rider intuition as well. I have 10 people faster than Izzy on the speed ratings, and actually a very similar rating to London 52. Now, what we're going to be trying to guess here at the moment is just what the difference is between whether someone actually presses the button and whether they don't. But I would say the fastest ones in the field, the ones to look out for: Oliver Townend, Ludwig Svennerstil, Molly Summerland, and also Alexander Bragg. If we can get any of those to press the button, they're the first times we're going to get really interested. But looks doable, but it's going to be no more than 1 or 2.
Well, Marlon Josefsson Agaton coming to the Event Rider Masters Stags Heads. And she is a little bit more down on the clock. Only 1 minute and 30 to get home from here. And just running into problems, Angus.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of expecting something to go wrong. Because I said earlier, and we've seen a couple of more shots of her when she went to the water as well, she does really struggle to compact this horse. She really struggles to weld it together, basically get the right canter, the right balance. And there's so many questions out on course that really are a test of, can you get the horse into the correct balance? If you can, the exercises are very easy. If you can't, they make the mistake, like Marlon did there. But we see Toby going through the first water. Good canter, good balance, very easy. And that was very, very tidy. That really is, again, the TV doesn't pay enough, well, it doesn't really show the extent of the rise up into that first log under the trees there. It really is steep.
Well, Marlon Josefsson and Agaton heading towards home, carrying those 20 penalties from the problem at the Stags. And you can see the clock is very nearly about to turn red, so those time penalties will clock up as well very quickly. 0.4 of a penalty for every second over the time, and they do add up very quickly. But she'll just look to get home safely from here. Now, this last question, Angus, it really is asking riders just to take a bull steady up. They can't take it for granted at a late stage chasing the clock.
Yeah, and it's, again, speaking as a course designer as well, you really do want the last combination. You don't want really anyone making a massive mistake. You don't want any particular problems. What you really want is the speed in your pocket, because everyone's chasing the clock and you want to just say, actually guys, I've got you for 15 seconds here, which is what Ian's done there, because the combination's quite strung out.
Coming towards that DHL finish line, 46 seconds over, so it's 18.4 time penalties.
Well, Marlon Josefsson completes with just the 20 penalties as Toby Piggott, and Golden Forever coming to the water. He just had to take a pull before that second element.
Yeah, just reacting to what's in front of him. I think he landed and thought, actually, that table in the water is coming up a little bit too quickly, and I don't fancy swimming.
But he responded really well, committed, and the horse responded beautifully as well. So Toby Piggott and Golden Forever making their way down to the Event Rider Masters Stag Heads. And it'll be interesting to see his time. He's got 1 minute and 30 just under left on the clock. As he jumps the first element of the Stag's Heads, he actually needs 1 minute and 53.
Nearly ducked out like Marlon's horse did just before, but much quicker reactions there from Toby. And because the horse Golden Forever, because he was such a better canter, he then actually has the time to do it. He can react quicker because the horse gives you that little bit more warning.
Well, here's Kirsty Johnston, WTTL opposition Skylaw, very quickly through all elements of Queen Mary's power.
Powering through on 3 and 4 in there, really taking the stride out. but you can see the power of this horse is very, very scopy, and she really had to adjust the balance. Sometimes you can actually, a horse can almost be a little bit too scopy, and I'm not talking just in its jump, I'm talking about in its stride, and then when the combinations and the fences require balance, you end up taking longer to set up because it's harder.
Well, Toby Piggott, Golden Forever and Wilbury Wonder Pony are heading towards the last 4 jumping elements out on course. They're going to be struggling on the time, but it's been a good clear jumping round from Toby as away goes from the start. Eliza Stoddart, Prior Spark, opposition free. We're unlucky to have 3 down in the show jumping, so they come forward on 44.9 in 22nd position coming forwards.
With it, so we're swapping back to this last combination. You see how long the horses have to remain in the correct canter, in balance. Now, the canter they're in for that exercise, because that's basically what it is. I know the corners are enormous, but it's just actually an exercise for them. The canter is probably 300 meters a minute slower than when they are going in between the fences, and that's a long time to be travelling at that speed.
Mr. Johnston put the anniversary splash. And just holds for an extra stride before that final element. Just over 2 minutes left on the clock for her. So she is a good few seconds down, needed to be jumping in at 2 minutes and 37. Toby Piggott, Golden Forever, they've completed a good clear round from them. 17.2 time, and the Super Groom's on hand very quickly to check Golden Forever over. He'll be looked after, given the best possible care, washed down, offered a drink. As Kirsty Johnston, WTTL opposition Skylark, coming down to the Event Rider Masters Stag's Head. Now, this is a very steep run down this hill, isn't it?
Yeah, it is incredibly steep, and then between these 2 fences is even steeper, and 5 and 1, so 5 strides before the first and 1 between the second is the ideal scenario. And as you can see, that was not the ideal scenario.
She sort of rode that by the seat of her pants slightly, but actually they know each other so well that the horse just helped her out of it.
Well, I would say a little bit quick there from Eliza, for me, too fast to the water.
She took the left-handed skinny, and now you're not penalised. You can take either one, can't you? But it's just slightly longer.
It is marginally. I mean, when I walked the course yesterday with mine, I thought I'm going to land over the triple brush, and then I'm going to look up, and whichever one my eye is drawn to, my horse's eye will be drawn to. And it's just because that's the natural thing that would happen. And actually, whether she set off with that as a deliberate plan or not, we'll never know. But it very much was how you land, you have to react.
Well, Kirsty Johnston, WTTL opposition Skylark, heading in towards the latter part of their round, just over 20 seconds on the clock as they come to the Wilbury Wonder Pony Flyer at 17. Just that quite a long run round the top of the course, isn't there, Angus, before you come back to the final combination?
Yeah, good chance to make a bit of time up, but also a chance for the horses. It's all downhill, that last run. Chance for the horses, they're tired, just get a little bit on their forehand, which makes them harder to balance, and then that increases the chance of these corners being influential.
Kirsty Johnston, WTTL opposition Skylark.
Kirsty easily clear through there, and the time penalties are clocking up, but she's just hacking towards home now. Just the final Fredericks ice cream finish, and then the DHL finish line to go for her. Brilliant to add a huge global brand such as DHL to the commercial family of the Event Rider Masters this year, coming on board as official logistics partners. And coming news through that Sarah Cohen and Treason withdrawn, so will not be coming forward to the cross-country. They were due out on course next.
We see Eliza take a stride out there in the water, and said slightly quick at the last water, but a much better pace into that one. But very big, bold horse, and actually the extra stride, taking the stride out, sorry, was very easy.
Eliza coming to the Stag's Heads.
She's going to need a good bit of control here. As we've seen, these brushes are quite influential. And she did a good job there, good canter in, and actually made it look quite simple, really.
Well, she's only got a minute and 25 left on the clock, so she is going to run into quite a few time penalties. I think we're getting a bit of an indication from these next few riders coming through that actually the time, see Kirsty Johnston 40 seconds over, so 16 time penalties for her, but getting a bit of an indication that Izzy Taylor and Astier Nicolas' time were deceivingly quick.
I don't know if I would say deceivingly quick. I mean, I think, look, they're both very fast, natural riders. Astier, of course, one of only a very, very small handful who've ever made the time previously at this venue. Pippa Fundle being the other one on the course who has also done it. Not in an Event Rider Masters leg. I can see you looking at me, Nicole, but she has done it here before. So I don't know if they're necessarily deceivingly fast, but what I would say is 2017, a little bit faster ground, 3 people made the time. It was an equally talented field. All of the other years we've had no more than 1 person ever make the time, so just have to stick with that for a moment. And even no matter how fast some of these guys are, you're not going to have many make the time. Average penalties in Event Rider Masters, 11. So it's going to be very influential on this time penalties. Here comes Flora Harris.
Well, I certainly think here is incredibly hard to make the time, and I think this year Ian's done a very good job. He's kept the clock, well, as you're going around basically the fences, he's controlled the rider's speed incredibly well, and he slows them down just cleverly now, just pinches a second off them, pinches 5 seconds off them, and then all of that adds up, and by the end you're done.
You are. You've got a few more seconds on the clock than you expected. It is a real work of art, isn't it? You know, we spoke about Daibody's show jumping track a little bit earlier on. Ian Stark's cross-country track. It's a science.
It is. More science, feel, whatever. You can either do it or you can't. And to control someone's speed across country without doing something stupid or unjumpable or unfair for the horses to read, there's actually not that many of the designers that can truly achieve it, and I think, to be fair to Ian, he's done a very, very good job here.
Well, Eliza Stoddart just completing Prior Spark opposition free. A good clear round across the country in her Event Rider Masters debut, and you can just see all the water there down at the finish ready. Well, we've got huge crowds here at Chatsworth. The sun is shining today. We've blue skies. The ground is drying out all of the time, and it is a brilliant day out for all of the family. If you are just joining us here on the Event Rider Masters, then a very warm welcome to you. And in the studio with me, Dan Byrne from Echo Ratings, and also 5-star Event Rider Angus Smells, who's giving us the expert opinion on all of our combinations. If you want to get involved, use the hashtag ERM Eventing on social media and send us in any questions or comments. Let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. Flora Harris, amazing, easily clear through that. I love the expression on this horse's face, Angus. We spoke about it in the show jumping, but ears pricked, looking for the next fence. She just loves her job.
She does. She wants to get on with it. And we saw a clip earlier of her about to leave the start box, and Flora was having to turn her back because Amazing was like, no, come on, we're going. It was like, they haven't said go yet, sorry. So coming now to the first water. Good jump in. Fall very comfortable, and that really a perfect example of how to ride that fence.
Well, actually, Flora was already 9 seconds down on the clock when she came to Queen Mary's Bow.
It's a very intense part, of course, though, because we've had, I don't count it up, but I'm going to guess 10, 11 efforts in probably 35, 40 seconds. That's a lot of effort. So actually, I would expect riders to be slightly down here, but there's some good stretches later on the course where they can make up time.
And this absolutely one of them. Away from the big table, Flora runs up the hill, going on to the Hope Valerie Saddlery roll top.
Well, we saw Flora there. We said it was a long galloping stretch, but she didn't really put the pedal to the metal, so we'll see how she gets on time-wise, but new starter, Nicole.
Cahill Daniels, Ryogan Rua in the green colours of Cahill, 40.2 their dressage. He was disappointed with that first phase, but actually a former winner here. We mentioned that a little bit earlier on. Won a 4-star section here 12 months ago. Then went to the World Equestrian Games, won team silver for Ireland. Well, Marlin Josephson, that was her problem. Those angled brushes, we've seen a couple of people just caught out by them, Angus.
Yeah, I think it's actually a far more difficult question than it looks, because it's actually really does require good canted first one. If you get the first element right, you're fine. If you jump it a little bit too quick or a little bit too open, the brushes suddenly become extremely difficult.
Well, an interesting one on Flora. For a rider of her talent, it's really interesting, and it gives you an idea of how hard it is to finish low at this venue as a finishing score. Her best ever finishing score at this venue came on low choice back in 2010. That was 55.2. She has 14 penalties in hand of that particular personal best to make it her best ever finishing score at Chatsworth. On average, we're at the moment, from the 5 clear rounds, we've got 10.9 as the average. Flora looks like she's going to be within that if she's able to keep that clear jumping. So a personal best coming up for her in terms of a Chatsworth record if she's able to stay jumping.
Well, Cahill Daniels and Ryogan Rua coming to the Dodson and Horrell Queen Mary's Bower in just a second. First, the Norden Know-How combination, 5A, B and C, and very easily done through that. Now, this is a horse, Angus, that I would have said would be ideally suited to this sort of ground, because she's so light and nippy, isn't she?
She is. And one-day horses, to be fast, just take a little breath there, you got a bit close to the triple brush in the middle. To ride fast around a one-day is a slightly different skill to ride fast around a long format, because the jumps are so much more intense, as in they come quicker. You've got the same number of efforts, but over 1,000, 2,000 metres, sometimes less distance, so everything comes quicker and quicker, which makes this series so challenging, because it really is very intense. Well, just looking quite tired there, amazing. I mean, I said earlier, she didn't really move that fast away from the water, the first water, and actually she's just cruising amazing home quite gently.
Well, Flora Harris heading towards home with amazing, just taking her time, is away from the start. One of 2 German riders in the field, Carriatan and Christoph Wahler. Christoph, who had a brilliant ride on one of his other horses in the other 4-star section, will have already ridden round here, was well placed on the podium in that section as well. So he comes here on a score of 40.1. As Flora Harris at the final combination.
Yeah, it's still amazing. Like, as I said, just looking a little bit wary on her legs, but actually she hasn't lost the jump. She's still jumping well, and Flora just giving her a chance to breathe and just cruising home nicely, and it's good riding. So the horse still got its ears pricked, so when they lose their jump, then you start to worry. But actually, as you see, it just cruise over the last there, very happy.
Really nice big pat from Flora as they come across the DHL finish line. Flora Harris and amazing complete on a score of 58. So next to come forwards at the water, the anniversary splash, Cahill Daniels.
Well, if you want to know how to jump that, there you go. That was very good, Cahill, through that second water out on track.
All of these rounds, of course, so influential as we look towards, Nicole, you mentioned the Chatsworth winner going on to represent their country at that championship. It's a trend we've seen over the last 3 years, but as we look towards not just the Europeans this summer, but also Tokyo 2020, we're going to be running out of, not running out of chances, but each time that these top riders come forward, it's an opportunity to shine. This is a big potential rider for Ireland. There's been a lot of pressure on him. He delivered at the World Games, but like all those Irish riders and riders around the world, indeed, you've got to keep backing it up. This is an opportunity for him to back it up.
Well, he was 10 seconds down on the clock at the Stag's Head, but Christoph Wahler and Carriatan through Queen Mary's Bower. It's good to see these European riders, isn't it, Angus, coming over, targeting Chatsworth the first leg in the series. We head out to Wiesbaden in Germany next time out.
Yeah, it is. It's very good that they're supporting the series all the way around, across all the legs. But then, as we've seen, if you want to win, it's becoming more and more competitive. So actually, you've got to collect points as many times as you can.
Well, Cachel heading towards home. He's 30 seconds left on the clock. He is down on the clock. He needs to be jumping this big ditch and brush with 33 seconds left on. So he's going to be some 15 seconds down, I think. Just perhaps a little bit over, but the horse still looking full of running. And this little mare, so experienced. She's very pony-like in her way of going.
Yeah, very compact. But round a one-day course, that makes life a little bit easier because everything's just that little bit more intense, comes up a little bit quicker. And we see Cowell now, it's the first time we've actually seen him in the whole round think, actually, come on, let's go a little bit quicker, let's try and get a bit closer to the time.
Well, he will go into the lead in the clubhouse. He's picking up a few time penalties, finishes on a score of 47.0, so Cahal Daniels takes over from Izzy Taylor as the one to beat, but of course still a long way to go. Heading into the top 20 reverse order show jumping, reverse order cross country I should say now, and Laura Collett, our leaders after the first two faces, will be the last out on course. And you just see Cahal there cantering round at the end of his round. You often see that. Why is it?
Why? Because actually you need to, as much as warming up, warming down is.
Christoph Waller at the anniversary splash. And he just didn't get his stride right. Horse is absolutely fine. Christoph a little bit damp.
But guilty rider.
Didn't get his stride right. The horse tried for him and unfortunately paid the price. Good to see them both absolutely fine. They'll be checked out by the team of vets and medics here, but I imagine it is a case of pride that's a little bit more dented.
Yeah, I mean, he jumped in fine, and actually the horse was making up too much ground, but the stride out wasn't there. He should have taken a pull on the reins and added, really.
Well, here is Tim Lips and Eclipse, 39.8, their starting score in 16th position. And Tim comes around Queen Mary's Bower. I imagine this is his first visit to Chatsworth. He's an extremely talented rider, has been a huge part of the Dutch team over recent years. The reigning Dutch national champion. And this one of the 6 clear rounds in the show jump. Wilbury Wonder Pony along for the ride.
So he went left there, obviously landed, looked up. But it was very good the way he rode that. He rode it in balance, he rode it rhythmically, and the two skinny exercises just came up naturally to him. So Tim Clips quite enjoying this so far. He's giving it a nice round. The only thing I would say is I don't think it looks that quick yet.
It is a fairly inexperienced horse at this level. Wouldn't have had too many runs previously at the level before coming forward to Chatsworth, giving the horse a really good experience here. Just a little bit of a cheeky spook as he came past that. As away goes Bella in his car with her Blenheim winner Carolyn on a score of 39.6 coming forwards. In 14th position coming forward to the cross country.
So we see the first two fences really a chance to just get them in the air. Fence 2 very, very big, but fence 3 here at Chatsworth is it looks innocuous, but with this terrain you see how they go down the dip and up the dip and then have to jump that angled brush on the lip. If you haven't quite warmed your horse up properly and they're not settled, that fence 3 suddenly becomes quite tricky, and I have seen them in the past just nip past that.
For this combination, the Thomas serving equestrian superstar combination at 4A and B, and that second element again very angled accuracy question.
It's an interesting that because it's actually blind, because the duck, the A element, you can't see through it, you can't see over it. So the horses can't truly see where they're landing. And it's a very advanced question, because you basically, the course designer is saying, how much does your horse trust you? Will they jump into space without knowing what's behind it? Which for a young horse would be probably unfair, but for these level of horses, they should trust you enough to do that. Well, interesting. All the riders we've seen through there have found the 4 strides quite long, but they've all been quite compact, quite close to the first element, the gypsy cart. Whereas there, Bella came very open. The canter was flat and long and open. And you see how the horse ended up chipping the 4th stride instead of finding it regular or accelerating to it. And that's just because she jumped the first element in a much higher, more open canter. And you see the range, the scope in this horse's stride. I know I've said it before, but the scope and the stride there, how this horse went from being so compact for the 4 strides between the A and the B, and then just opening up, take the stride out to sea.
Well, going well so far, Bella in his car. Carolyn, let's just remind you on how things stand at the top of the leaderboard, because it is Ryogan Rua, Cathal Daniels, the one to beat at the moment. He's on a score of 47.0. This is Tim Lips and Eclipse. Just heading towards the end of his round, right up at the top part of the course at the Brocklehurst Be Smart combo. And he is chasing the clock. He's going to pick up time penalties. The question will be how many.
Well, such an experienced rider. 75 rounds at this level, 4-star short, 75 rounds for the rider. And as you mentioned, Nicole, just twice before have we seen Eclipse take on this level of competition. It should be coming up to SAP soon. I reckon we're still about 30 seconds from this SAP, which is going to come soon, so well over the time here.
Yeah, you definitely need to be 30 seconds at the first of those corners left on the clock. So it's going to be about 45 seconds down as he heads on towards home. But you see those time penalties clocking up, and he's already dropped behind Cathal Daniels and Ryogan Rua. Well, we're going to see a shot now. Flora Harris and Amazing up at the Stag's Heads a little bit earlier on. The ground jury looking to review parts of her round, can do so with the flags. Is this the fence they wanted to see? This isn't 16. This is 14. It's the one that's hidden behind the tree, the 3 brushes. And beautifully done. That was copybook, Angus.
I can't see much wrong with that. It was very good.
I think she didn't touch a flag. There is a new flag penalty, 15 penalties if you do take a flag, and actually Flora didn't even breathe on them there, so she won't be at risk of picking up penalties from the ground jury there. Well, here comes Susie Berry and Stonehenge clear of the Dodson and Horrell combination. Goes on to Queen Mary's Bower. Susie has come up through junior young rider ranks.
Well, an Irish combination. Another one who will be looking towards potentially an outside place on the European.
Well, a little bit sticky in the water there, Stonehenge. Susie just having to apply a little bit more leg. The horse just backed off at the A element, but well recovered, well ridden through. As you now see this, a very clever little question. The light and the dark, and you can see by the shadows how the light and dark changes, and the horses have to change through that. And actually, horses find it incredibly difficult to adjust to light and dark, which means we as riders have to take more responsibility to set them up for such questions.
Bella in his car and Carolyn coming to the end of their round, still looking full of running. 39.6 her starting score, in 14th position coming forwards. And she's about 20 seconds down on the clock as she comes to these corners.
Alex Bragg with the Ellicott to Zagreb by Perion. They leave the start box.
She just clipped the flag there, but that actually was very nicely. Carolyn just fighting Bella slightly to the last corner, but well ridden there on a slightly open, tired horse.
Well, Bella could be 18 seconds over to go ahead of Cathal. She's going to just run the clock a little bit further over that, and actually won't be able to take over the top spot. So Cathal Daniels, Ryogan Ruit, is really climbing. He was 28th after Dressage, and he's already going to be no worse than 16th with a very good double clear round. So Bella in his car completes, and this is the bit of footage that the member of the ground jury wanted to see for Flora Harrison. Amazing. You just saw the flag going at that final element. And the question is, did the horse jump the fence? We've got the official wording we could read to you, but we'll wait for the ground jury to make a decision on it.
Was it head, neck, shoulders?
The 15 penalty rule, Angus. We could go into this for quite some time.
Inconclusive.
We luckily aren't the ones that have to make the decision on that.
I mean, that's a very difficult angle to judge that from. Really, you have to see them head on, to be fair. Go on, you're going to give us some.
Missing a flag. A horse is considered to have missed a flag, 15 penalties, if the horse jumps the dimension of the obstacle and the majority of the horse's body passes through the flags. This means that some part of the body is not inside the flags, for example, one shoulder or one part of a hip. We'll let the ground jury come back to us with that one, but Susie living dangerously.
Yeah, good save there. You saw just trying to duck out, and Susie pulled him back in well.
It's a steep hill, isn't it? I mean, as a rider, talk us through that. You're coming down that at speed, you're having to find your footing again, get your horse back with you to make sure you're there. Yeah,
it's very important. The A element is actually probably the most important of that, because if you take off in balance, I've said before, you land in balance. If you land in balance, then you can attack the next element. If the horse decides to just take ownership of the bridle and run on down the hill, it's very difficult to sort it back out.
Well, Alex Bragg grabbed safely away from Queen Mary's Bower, and confirmation that Flora Harris not incurring 15 penalties at the combination at 16. So those 15 penalties removed from her score. The ground jury well within their rights to review the footage and either add them on or remove them. In this case, they have been removed. So Flora Harris clear jumping. Alex Bragg Greb head on up the hill as Susie Berry and Stone Edge on that score of 39.6. And Susie can be 18 seconds over the time and go ahead of Cathal Daniels, her compatriot, as she comes to the final combination. The Wilbury Wonder Pony Flyer. Lovely big jump there, swinging right-handed. She's going to be tight on the clock, it must be said. And easily done through both elements there. So Susie Berry chasing the clock. Remember, she will go into the lead if she is 18 or less seconds over the time. I don't think she's going to do it from there, Angus.
No, I'm saying it's looking pretty tight there, and you see that because we saw the whole way through the combination. You see for, what, 5-6 seconds the horse's speed was controlled.
Well, a brilliant jump at the last. 24 seconds over, 49.2, goes into second at the moment. Cathal Daniels leads the way.
I think that's a fantastic round. First time for the rider here at Chatsworth, obviously first time for the horse, but for Susie to come here, put that 3 phases together, one down into show jumping, mid-30s dressage, and then to jump clear with, pretty much up there with some of the fastest rounds that we've seen so far. I think fabulous performance from her. She'll go home pleased, or she should at least.
The anniversary splash, Alex Bragg, the Greb. Just swinging right-handed to that third element and take it very well. And just caught up with him a second ago there. Now coming to the Stag's Heads, and 1:50 left on the clock as he jumped down into the first of those.
Well, that, I know we talked about earlier, but that was a very good example of jumping that fence correctly. That's what we're looking for and how it should be done.
And actually, Alex only 3 seconds down on the clock as he jumped the Stag's Head. So this is a really, really key round to watch, because he could easily climb into the top 10. You put him up as one of the series contenders, Dem.
I think this is a critical round for that. We've talked about some of his younger horses like Alcatraz. We've talked about Barrichello. He is someone who has enough horses to challenge. We've seen him travel. Of course, this is the horse that he won Jardy on, but it's critical that he gets some points here. He may not be able to climb all the way to the top of the podium, but don't forget, points all the way for those first 10 riders today. It's an easier time to get it. Big round this. He needs to jump clear.
Well, he is very much heading towards home. Alex Zagreb going to the Wilbury Wonder Pony Flyer. Wilbury strapped to his back as well. And SAP, our official technology partners here at the Event Rider Masters, offering an additional €250 prize to the rider who wears, or the winning rider, I should say, that wears the Wilbury Wonder Pony out on course. And they will double that and donate it in the rider's name to the Hannah's Wilbury Wonder Pony charity if the rider chooses to donate. And Alex, actually, this is one of the quickest rounds we've seen so far. And unfortunately, just paying the price there.
Bit quick, little bit too quick, I have to say. And then he couldn't make the adjustment to get to the corner. And you could see Alex knew he was running deep. He kept trying to brake.
Well, good to see. Good to see Alex up and walking. I imagine a little bit sore after that heavy fall for him with Zagreb, but the horse up and about as well, and delighted to see them up on their feet. They'll both be checked out by the vets and medics here in very safe hands, but good to see them up and walking after that fall. Pippa Funnell waiting down at the start. MGH Grafton Street, 37.7 their starting score, in 11th position. So very much heading towards the top 10 reverse order here in the cross country.
Such fine lines at the top of the sport. Alex will be devastated with that. We'll go from, a couple of minutes before talking about him as a series contender, and it's so tough, isn't it? In that moment, suddenly you're going, okay, firstly, let's see them get up. Let's check that horse. How is Zagreb? Look, at the moment, everything that we're getting through, all is good on that front. We can see Alex and Zagreb walking away, but you can just, it is such fine lines going from a series contender, potentially, coming up in those first 2 or 3. With the speed that he has, he does have the potential to climb, but that is eventing, and it is the fine lines. We're going to have Pippa Funnell soon. Looking, Angus, at the time so far, and of course the time was one of the key features here at Chatsworth. We've had 10 clear rounds, and that's probably the best thing that we can use to get a judge on the time. 11.7 time penalties. Now, obviously, taking into account that the early rounds, you're never sure as to whether they're pressing the button, but we have got some to come, which I think, I would say very soon, only a couple more rounds, we're going to see Molly Summerland. Molly is a rider who I would say has taken 2019 by storm. She's appeared everywhere across the Equirating stats as we've been trying to preview some of the big events in the UK, and Charlie van der Heijden has always shown us some speed. I'd be hoping for a clear jumping round for them, and I think that's probably the first, Angus, that would give me, I would say, my most accurate read so far on the time.
Yeah, I think as a combination, Charlie van der Heijden and Molly, they've got a relationship going, and she does. She's got the beauty of youth, and she goes very quickly. She rides the horse well, but equally so, there's still some good fast riders to come. But I would be looking at it now. I'm going to say probably maybe one inside the time. What do you reckon?
I reckon you're right. Back to Pippa Funnell on screen, Nicole.
Well, MGH Grafton Street away on course. They had 2 unlucky poles in the show jumping. They were well placed in the top 5 after dressage. 37.7 their starting score. Still well in touch in 11th place coming forwards. And Wilbury Wonder Pony also coming along for a ride. Pippa very committed to her striding through the combination at 4, and she looks to have set out in some pretty good acceleration as well. She's 23 seconds in hand to go ahead of our current leader, Cachel Daniels and Ryogan Rua.
Yeah, the prize money, it's very, very nice in the CRM series.
Is the word you're looking for.
Very nice, yes, very handy. But also points. It's 6 legs. You need to pick up points. It's as simple as that. And actually, a few points here in the final leg could make all the difference for Pippa. So she definitely looks like she's giving this one a go. And we'll catch up with her now. The combination, and those, they look again very, very skinny, but the combination is all there in front of the horse. The horses, if the horses read it and they're in the right balance, it should look really easy.
Well, Pippa Funnell, course all to herself at the moment, was just held at the start for a few moments. MGH Grafton Street, 37.7. their score coming out at the moment. The podium is where riders are looking to end up at the end of competition. And Pippa very easily clear through that.
She attacked. She attacked well. She's meaning business for sure. We'll see how quickly she dares come at this. Well, this is a really good question because it really does make the riders wait. It's not difficult, it's not very technical or unfair, it just really gets time into the designer's pocket, takes it away from the riders, and we see Pippa accelerating away from that big table nicely. Good chance out on track to make up time after a very, very busy period in the track.
Cahill Daniels, the man on the top spot of the podium as things stand at the moment. He is the one they want to knock off the top spot. As away goes Emily Philp and Falula from the start on a score of 37.2. Clear of the first two. Emily, who went really well at Badminton a few weeks ago with Camembert. Actually, that was the horse that she finished on the podium with at the Event Rider Masters Series finale of 2018 up at Blair Castle last season. Finished in third place. And Falula was so unlucky to have the final fence in the show jumping, Angus.
Yeah, she was. She did a brilliant round, as we see Pippa now coming to the second water, and that very, very good. Pippa gave that, I have to say, textbook ride. Set the horse up nicely, got the speed right, got the balance right, and then the exercise just looks nice and simple like that. But actually, let me assure you, it's big.
Well, riders really should go back, watch riders like Pippa Funnell, Piggy French ride from last year with Quarry Crest Echo. One I know Sam Watson, who's the penultimate rider out on course here today, had looked back on as how he wanted to be able to ride and tackle Ian Stark's cross-country track. And Pippa makes that long run now. We'll see her at the Event Rider Masters Stag's Head in just a moment. She's 1 minute and 45 on the clock as things stand. She's going to be a little bit down as she comes to the Stag's Heads. So here is Emily Philp and Falula going on to the jewellery box at 6. Swinging right-handed round to Queen Mary's Bower.
Well, to be fair, that was very good riding by Emily. She went into the water in balance, and actually that was the horse's choice to pick up early there. And she sat in balance well, and she went with the horse. And that's the best you can do. You can set the horse up, put them in the right canter, and if the horse chooses to pick up early, like she did there, it was safe, it was fine.
Let us know if you're coming to it. Okay, we're just going to talk. Let us know what's happening.
So, Emily, very nicely away from the water and in a good rhythm, but she doesn't look to be going that fast actually, but we'll see. So Emily
Philp heads on up that long run up the hill, going to the Coffin combination. We'll see her at a second as Pippa Funnell, MGH Grafton Street, coming to the Event Rider Masters Stag's Head. We've seen a couple of problems here. Pippa easily over the first element. Oh, gosh, just the horse leaves a leg and she's tipped out the side door past the point of no return, Angus.
Yeah, not the most comfortable of rides through there, and not the most comfortable of landings either.
And you can actually just see her air jacket has gone off, so she's sort of blown up, which really knocks the stuffing out of you, doesn't it? But just a safety device, and good to see her up on her feet.
Well, just we saw the scope of this horse in the first water, how they took the stride out there, and Emily, rightly so, said absolutely no way, not again. But it did lead to a slightly uncomfortable jump, but we saw that fall earlier. in the same water where they tried to ride for a stride that wasn't there, and very good riding from Emily there, which is what it's all about. You know, you've got to react to what's in front of you in cross-country riding.
Well, Molly Summerland, Charlie van der Heijden has set out like she means business. 36.2 her starting score as Emily Philp and Falula comes to the Stags' Heads.
Again, very good riding there from Emily. She set the horse up nicely before it and then just nice and gently down the hill, and then could attack the two angle brushes at the bottom. Now she doesn't look like she's going that fast. So this horse obviously is very deceptive. So there you get an idea of how steep the hills are at Chatsworth here. She's climbing, 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 and now descend again.
And actually, this is one of the faster rounds we've seen. Emily Philp for Lula, 37.2. She's in the top 10 coming forward. She is down on the clock, but she has certainly got a bit of time to get home.
Yeah, we reckon 30 seconds at the first of the corners.
Here is Molly Summerland, Charlie van der Heijden. They've been on incredible form so far this year. 36.2 their starting score. She'd have been disappointed with her dressage. She said she was absolutely gutted, really felt that the horse deserved to be in the 20s in the first phase. And this is the one of the horses down. The decoratings have flagged up. Sit tight, Molly. And she got away with that, Angus. Quick thinking.
She did, very quick thinking there, but for me, again, just a little bit too open to the first element of the water, sorry. You've got to really rock them back on the hocks to the first element so that they're in balance.
Well, going into second, Emily Philp and Falula, they'll be heading off to the podium. They'll go behind, or they'll go ahead of Cathal Daniels, in fact. 41.6, a very, very good starting score from that. So 41.6 the score to beat. Emily Philp heads to push Cathal Daniels down into second.
I think that's an incredible round. We talked about it with Susie Berry earlier, but 33.2, she'll be a little bit disappointed with that, as you mentioned, but one down and that incredible round cross country, you know, brilliant. And this is the one that I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Well, Tom McEwen, Figaro Van Het Broekhoff heading out on course. 34.1 their starting score. Had a pole down in the show jumping. But this is a combination who made the time at this level of competition on their way to winning at Belton a little bit earlier on this year. And in 8th position coming forwards.
Well, it's very interesting there. I've only seen one other person do it. To that second fence, there is the chance to cut the corner and jump the oxer on the right-hand side rather than in the middle. And I've only seen one other rider do it. So Tom is shaving every second you can. And actually, on a course, if you can look to save half a second at every fence, and there's 35 jumping efforts on course, you soon end up being a little bit ahead on the clock. And Tom, very, very economical through that first combination. Last minute braking, quickly through, and incredibly quickly back into his rhythm, moving away and into one of these galloping stretches where, again, you've got the chance to make up time.
Molly Summerland, Charlie van der Heijden, a minute and 45 left on the clock as they come to the Event Rider Masters Stag's Head. So she's going to be some 12 or 14 seconds down on the clock here. Just going to need to catch up a bit of time with Charlie van der Heijden. Worked hard through there, Angus.
Yeah, just starting to look a little bit weary, but I mean, that is one of the highest points on the course, and you've climbed probably for 25-30 seconds, and actually now is a very good opportunity for Molly just to give Charlie van der Heijden a little breather. There we see Tom using his vast array of skills, just making sure that that water was safe. The very big horse and a very difficult exercise, that water, but again, so quick, away into his rhythm.
Well, Cathal Daniels enjoying his moments on the top spot of the podium. Susie Berry goes on to third. She's not going to be there for very long because Emily Philp will be on her way back from the finish to all knock them down a spot. She is the one to beat at the moment.
So we see here, obviously, Tom on a very, very long galloping stretch. The idea is that the average speed is, I think, 575 metres a minute, whereas obviously at the fences sometimes you're moving more like 250, 300. So on those galloping stretches, those horses will be moving in excess of 600 metres a minute, trying to make up the time that they've lost at the combinations and the fences they've had to set up for.
Yasmin Ingham and Rihi DJ away from the starters. Here comes Molly Summerlin towards home, and she's not going to be able to challenge Emily Philps's lead. Charlie van der Heijden will see how she fits if we get a mini leaderboard up on screen, and she's 24 seconds over the time, so that clock is ticking up. She finished on 47. That's exactly the same score as Cathal. He was a little bit quicker cross country, so she will go ahead of him.
At this level now, Charlie van der Heijden's 8 runs and 100% completions, 100% jumping clear. Exact same for Molly. It's a wonderful 4-star short record.
We see Tom rowing the boat, and he rowed for that 3 and he made sure he got it so that it was safe. I mean, Figaro van Het Broekhoff, a very, very big horse. So now Stag's Heads for Tom really has to rock him back on his hocks now. Pop the log and now attack the 2 brushes. Textbook. See Tom, like AP McCoy, just trying to coax a little bit more pace. So we see Yasmin Ingham, Ray DJ, beautifully through that. Perfect example how to ride.
Well, interestingly,
well, Yasmin heads to Queen Mary's Bower, but Cathal Daniels is on the top spot of the podium. He's not going to be there for long, though, because Emily Philp is on her way to take her spot at the top of the podium. And there she goes. Cathal Daniels goes down into second. Bella goes down into third, and Susie Berry is off the podium. Emily Philp on the top spot. She's on the podium at Blair. Can she stay there, Hannah?
Well, let's hope so. Emily, you're watching the action behind me. I bet you're glad you're finished and in the top spot for now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, halfway round I heard Pippa had fallen off and I thought, oh no. So I just thought, right, I've got to stick like glue and try and keep going. And I thought, no, just concentrate on what you're doing. You shouldn't be listening to the commentary. So I never normally hear it, but I was obviously just in that spot to hear it. So yeah, but no, chuffed to bits with her. She was just brilliant for me the whole way round. So
brilliant. Congratulations, Emily.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was Yasmin Ingham parting company with Rihe DJ, but Tom McEwen is heading towards home. He is scrubbing for the finish because top of the podium is Emily Philp. Tom McEwen could just be about to knock her down into second. He absolutely is, and he has laid down his challenge clear of the DHL finish, and Tom McEwen heads off to the top spot of the podium. 4.4 time, finishes on 38.5. So Tom McEwen is the one to beat, and he worked hard for that round, Angus.
He did. Worked very hard. We saw him just always trying to just eke out a little bit more pace. Come on, mate, come on, just give me a bit more, but he made sure he jumped all the jumps as well, which is the most important thing. Well, there we see Yasmin's fall just a little bit close and just leaves that front leg trailing. Just didn't quite snap up off the floor quick enough, just left the front leg. And we said in the jumping this was a young horse, one of its first runs at this level, and they're just basically a little bit naive. It's that ring craft that I talk about, that actually the more experienced horses just get themselves out of those situations.
DJ, disappointment for them. Have to walk off the course so early down there.
Well, Yasmin, good to see her up and walking. Likewise, Rahi DJ, and they'll no doubt be back in Event Rider Masters in the future as Bill Levitt heads out on course in 6th place. Now, the only 6 combinations left to go. Shenandoah Titan 32.5 this combination. Tom McEwen on 38.5. So actually, Bill 14 seconds in hand to go ahead of Tom McEwen.
Now, the interesting thing is, as he's going out and around, is actually we see Bill setting off quite quick, but he's still quite measured in his approach. And actually, you've got to leave petrol in the tank for the end of the round, and you have to know your horse. And actually, you want to be finishing quickly, not finishing with no petrol. You want to still be able to be accelerating at the end. That's how you really ride fast.
One of the things that we saw last year with Pippa, when she, or with Piggy, I should say, when she went on to win this, people remember that round. It was a Chris Burton-esque round in that she never really looked like she was travelling that fast. It was this concept of rhythm, which is we're going back to again and again and again, that actually you're not accelerating and decelerating, you're staying in that constant flow. The defences just keep coming up for you and you're hitting it on the right stride. That was what we saw with Piggy last year. We have a couple of top combinations who will be hoping for that type of exhibition this afternoon.
That's quite good, Dermot. Very impressive. Be out of a job now.
Well, Bill Levitt with Wilbury strapped to his back, Shenandoah Titan, one of the most experienced horses in the field, clear of the combination at 5 A, B and C. The Nord know-how combination goes onto the jewellery box, then back round Queen Mary's Bower. 32.5 his starting score. Tom McEwen, our leader, in the clubhouse on 38.5. And actually, I think it's important to note here, Tom McEwen's going to get good series points.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one of those riders who has the type of string who could challenge across a number of legs. Don't forget, this is our only British leg. This is going to be a leg that is a series that is won and lost on the continent this year. So there's a number of people, and here's one of them, Nicole, who we have seen travel over the last number of Event Rider Master Series. He has turned up at so many. He had a 28.5 first phase. He knocked one of the good show jumpers, but he did have one pole. Now it comes down to the speed. We have seen Bill push the button before. It's a day that I expect him to be doing it.
He's definitely pushing the button at the minute. We see what you were just talking about earlier. Every fence he's trying to save time. A second here, a second there.
Who is the junior individual gold medalist here in Europe last year.
Bobby Upton, Fernhill Rockstar, away on course in 5th place. Reverse order cross country coming forward. She's on her Event Rider Masters debut, been so impressive in each of the phases so far. Well, on the top of the podium is Emily Philp, but Tom McEwen is making his way in because he will be heading to push Emily Philp down into second. Cahill Daniels will go into third, and there he is. He's too nice to be pushing people off the podium. Hannah, how long can he hold on?
Tom, how was that?
Good. a bit of work. First time out of breath in a while, but yeah, he was awesome. Very straight, locked onto everything. The ground was quite hard work, along with the hills. Time is achievable on the right horse, but yeah, it was a great round, and yeah, super happy with Vic.
We've seen a few people come unstuck out there. It doesn't look easy at all.
Yeah, no, I wasn't really too sure what was going on. I was still a bit confused what time I was meant to be started at, so I wasn't really fully aware. But yeah, it's a tough track. There's plenty to do, and questions from start to finish.
And you got Wilbury the Wonder Pony
I do, yeah.
there for your little mascot, so kept you in good stead. Good luck, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Tom McEwen says the time is achievable. Who will make it? Well, this is our latest starter, Bobby Upton, coming down to Queen Mary's Bower. She's been well placed at this level previously, but make no mistake, this is a combination who together haven't had that many runs at this level. They are the up-and-coming superstars of the future.
Oh. Well, you can tell by my expression that I wasn't a huge fan of that, actually. Too fast. Needed a little bit more collection on the turn. Get the horse in front of the leg, balance it up, then attack the fence in balance. That was slightly winging it.
The horse showing all of his experience. And Bubby not hanging around out on course. She heads on off up the hill, going to the Irwin Mitchell legal lines, then the Hope Valerie Saddlery roll top. As waiting down at the start, that is Lucy Jackson. Lucy rides at Superstition, coming forward in 4th place, so we're very much heading towards the podium in just a moment's time. The next 3 combinations all in a podium position heading out on course. Lucy Jackson 31.8, super clear round in the second phase. And Tom McEwen, of course, the one that they are looking to catch as things stand.
Dressage, they were 11th after Dressage, moving up into 4th position with a clear in the show.
Well, Lucy clear of the first 2. Bill Levitt will be heading towards the finish. And Shannondale Titan, hugely experienced, and he is down on the clock, significantly down on the clock. He's only 10 seconds to get home.
So we see Bill coming to the final combination. Shannondale Titan just looking a little bit weary. Still jumping. Bill, very good riding through there. Just coaxing this horse home now.
Well, he looked to be down on the clock, didn't look to be able to get home to catch Tom McEwen, and those penalties are creeping up. Looked to have incurred some jumping penalties, perhaps a missed flag, we think maybe out on course, so that may be reviewed by the ground jury. But at the moment, he's dropping down further down the top 20, stays inside the top 20, goes on to 61.1. As Bobby Upton and Fernhill Rockstar. Coming to the Queen Mary's Bower, and Bobby did, she landed on her feet, Angus.
She did. She did land on her feet. Said it at the first water. Bit quick.
Well, good to see her up on her feet. The horse absolutely fine. She gave the horse a lovely pat afterwards as well. Just said, no, it's okay, it's all right. And they'll be back, I've no doubt, on another occasion.
9.5 for landing, though.
Very absolutely. Good. I'm quite, to be honest, I'm quite impressed by that one. Bubby,
landed
you get
running. Yes. Very impressive.
You get a gold star for that one, as Lucy Jackson Superstition coming to Queen Mary's Bower.
Well, we're back with a very, very experienced rider. Now, we've seen, some of the younger riders today, they've had 2 brilliant phases, and then they've come a little bit unstuck in cross-country. It isn't just experience, because, look, we saw probably the most experience in the sport, Pippa Fundle, also come unstuck. So it isn't just that. Equally, we saw Susie Berry, and I guess you would... you'd look to Emily Philp as well as young riders who've had great rounds. But Lucy Jackson coming up close now to 50 runs at this level in the last 10 seasons. All the experience she's going to need, because Superstition only has 2.
Absolutely. The horse, she looks to be not chasing the clock too much, letting the horse travel in his own time, and she can afford to be 16 seconds over the time to go ahead of Tom McEwen. Well, here's Bill Levitt at the Stag's Head. This is the combination that the ground jury wanted to see. And just, I think that would be classed. Would you agree, Angus, as 15 penalties at the second element?
See it here in the slow-mo. They've got to get both the shoulders through inside the flag. Yeah, you see the horse's left leg. The flag comes between the chest. Yeah. Sorry, Bill. Sorry, mate. I think you've got your
I think that might be 15 penalties for Bill. We'll wait for the ground jury to confirm it. Far be it from us to try and do their jobs for them, but the technology that allows them to see these replays, the slow-mo as well, really does give them every tool available. We'll confirm that for you in just a second, but Lucy Jackson and Superstition at Queen Mary's Bower.
Well, it's good, very good riding from Lucy though. We saw in the first water she came in incredibly tight and then checked the horse in the water to get the balance needed for the triple brush. And now, textbook, if you want to know how to ride it, there you go.
Well, confirmation from our ground jury that 15 penalties are awarded to Bill Levitt, so that will keep him inside the top 20, but does take him out of contention. So let's just take stock of the situation for just a second, because we are heading into the final 3 riders heading out on course. Tom McEwen, he has a score locked in. Figaro Van Het Broekhoff, he is the clubhouse leader on 38.5, ahead of Emily Philp-Falula in second, Cathal Daniels, Rogan Ruhr in third at the moment. Lucy Jackson, she can afford to be 16 seconds over the time to go ahead of Tom McEwen, but she is 20 seconds down already at the clock at the Stag's Head, Angus.
Yeah, I was going to say, horse looked really good, full of running, but then you're saying 20 seconds down, maybe that explains why it looks so full of running still.
For me, I would say that actually Lucy has been riding a really mature round. She's not chasing a horse that hasn't got a huge amount of experience at this level, looking for a good, confident run. But this lady has been on an Event Rider Masters podium twice before. It is Germany's Julia Krajewski and Amanda Benaville. Mandy, as this mare is known at home, fairly inexperienced. Only stepped up to the level last year. 31.4 their starting score. They were second after dressage. The pole in the show jumping just dropped them 1 place on the leaderboard. And we did speak a little bit earlier on, Angus, that this mare wouldn't necessarily have run very much on ground such as this.
No, I mean on the continent, obviously the weather conditions are sometimes sunnier than in England, and they do, like you say, they do a lot more on surfaces, which is why we see so many of the foreign riders coming over to England to experience the terrain and a little bit more of the old-fashioned cross-country riding.
Well, there is Tom McEwen on the top spot of the podium. Julia Krajewski heads up the hill as Lucy Jackson and Superstition coming through the final combination. You can see the clock is down for her. She's going to pick up time penalties. The question will be how many. But very, very nicely done. She's given this horse a super ride, Angus.
Yeah, very, very good ride. You know, she's done a very good job. She's cut corners where she can, but equally, like there, you see her taking her time just to make sure this horse learns to jump everything all the way home.
Well, here comes the man in second place after the first 2 phases. It is Ireland. Sam Watson comes forward with Tullabeg Flamenco on a score of 31.0. Moved up from 7th after dressage to second place with a very good clear round over Die Body's show jumping track. Derm? Nervous?
No, I don't think I'm nervous. No, you always want the best for all of them who go out there, not just Sam, but I suppose Sam and Laura going in the last 2 is going to raise the heart rate a little bit. But no, both of them will be looking for controlled jumping rounds.
Well, Lucy Jackson just trying to get a confirmed score for her as Julia Krajewski comes to the water right at the top of the hill. And she didn't make the same mistake there as Christoph.
No, she almost checked too much and then actually had to accelerate the horse. You saw just backing off that first element quite a lot. Then she sat up balanced and ended up having to push.
Well, there is Sam Watson down at the 5th. And easily clear of all 3 elements there. Sam was going for an economical round with this horse, 10 years of age, really feels the horse has come into his own in the last 12 months. As confirmation, Lucy Jackson, Superstition go into second. 8.4 time, they finish on 40.2. Tom McEwen guarantees no worse than a 4th place finish here.
I mean, I think that's a brilliant position to be in, and Tom will be delighted with that.
Heart and mouth stuff, Tim.
Heart and mouth stuff. Sam Watson, I think it's reasonably controlled. A couple of people have come unstuck there. We're with Sam now.
For me, Sam actually had a plan, let the horse execute it.
I think he rode like hell through that.
Well, that is the podium at the moment. Tom McEwen in the top spot. Can he get another Event Rider Masters podium finish? He's been on the podium previously, Blair 2016, as here is Julia Krajewski. Amanda Benefiel.
Julia Krajewski, one of the really interesting things, 51 runs now at this level, but the stat that I was instantly drawn to, 45% of the time when they've competed over those 50 runs, they have finished in the top 5. Are they on for it again?
They have 17 seconds in hand on the clock. Here comes Laura Collett, and leader after the first 2 phases is on course. If you're just joining us, listeners, then you are at the best possible time, because we are heading towards the climax of leg 1 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters Series. Julia Krajewski, Amanda Benefiel, what will her time be? She is kicking on towards home.
That was beautiful riding through there, absolutely beautiful. She sat tall in her body, allowed the horse to be out in front of her and see the jump.
Well, importantly, those seconds are ticking up past, and she is going to incur too many time penalties to knock Tom McEwen off the top spot. She goes on to a score of 41.0, and she goes third behind Tom McEwen, behind Lucy Jackson. Julia Krajewski no worse than 5th. Tom McEwen guaranteed a podium finish.
Well, another top 5 for Julia, but we're going to be getting back to the other 2 on course. We've still got Sam Watson out there, and we've still got the leader, Laura Collett, out there. Here's Tullabeg Flamenco, Sam Watson.
Sit up, sit up.
9.6 time penalties, 24 seconds over, 41 penalty total, and that will go 3rd on the podium at the moment for Julia.
Well recovered there from, so just got it a little bit. It just landed heavy, didn't he? And just rocked his body forward, but sat up well. Gave him a good positive ride through the last 2 elements.
Sam Watson has 18 seconds in hand on the clock to go ahead of Tom McEwen. Of course, any seconds he is over eases the pressure on Laura Collett, and unfortunately just doesn't get his line right, and that is a hugely disappointing 20 penalties for Sam. Down at the Stag's Head, Angus, he'll be gutted with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And not the most comfortable of jumps through the second time, but it's just one of those, you know, one of those things that's happened. He didn't do anything drastically wrong. Yes, you could always say do something slightly better, but he didn't particularly do anything wrong. It's just one of the things that happened.
Well, this means that the winner of leg 1 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters Series will either be Tom McEwen or it will be this young lady, Laura Collett, London 52. They were the Equa Ratings favourites coming into the competition. They're on a score of 26.9. They had time in hand when they headed out on course. They have 28 seconds that they can allow the clock to run over. She perhaps won't know that Sam's had a problem though, so she's got to keep pushing for the time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Laura won't know. I mean, when you're riding round, it's very rare that you can actually hear the commentary because we're in our zone, we're concentrating on what we're doing. You just blank out what's going on around you, so you won't necessarily have heard what's happening.
Well, that is Lucy Jackson just going onto the podium. She's actually guaranteed a 2nd place finish or a 3rd place finish, just depending on what Laura Collett does. But at the moment, the podium is Tom McEwen, Lucy Jackson, Julia Krajewski, GB, New Zealand, Germany. Ireland will be so disappointed that Sam Watson can't join them. He's going to pick up some time penalties as well now as he heads towards home, and then we will be back with our leader.
Well, we did say we hoped that Starkey's cross country would give us as much excitement as dive body show jumping did, and so far it's provided an absolutely brilliant spectacle.
Well, here is Laura Collett and London 52. The team behind this horse believe in him so much. He's just excelled on the upward trajectory through his career. He only stepped up to the level actually at Chatsworth 12 months ago.
She rides today for the horse and her own first win of an Event Rider Masters. She's clear through the Dodson Horrell.
Very nicely done. Laura Collett, London 52. Course all to themselves. They have our undivided attention as Sam Watson comes through the finish. Finishes on 68.6. It'll be a top 18 finish, but he'll be disappointed with those 20 penalties and will be ruining them. I've absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah, no doubt he'll be disappointed. But back to Laura Collett. This is a critical round. We obviously had the disappointment with Mr. Bass last week. She's come back now with an opportunity to make it right. Here's a critical piece.
Interesting, going wider to try and get a slightly different line than we saw from the others. And it definitely worked for her, how she just hung a little bit left to right over that first element. And she slightly sort of S-bended through them.
She was down on the clock, but she can afford to be a few seconds down on the clock. We just need to keep an eye on it. Julia Krajewski making her way onto the podium in third place. Lucy Jackson in second, Tom McEwen on the top spot.
I think that Lucy Jackson performance is going to be one of the standouts, whether Laura Collett makes it or not. I think to have Lucy guaranteed a podium position is an absolutely incredible performance with Superstition. Here we are with the leader, Laura Collett.
Well, let's take a look at the clock. She's just over 50 seconds to get home, up at fence number 16. So she is actually going to be flirting. She's about 30 seconds down on the clock.
She's going to be using all of her time in hand.
This is going to be extremely close. So Laura Collett can let the clock run 28 seconds over to go ahead of Tom McEwen. But actually, as things stand at the moment, that is nip and tuck. Will it be Tom McEwen on the top spot? Will it be Laura Collett? She's still got to go clear through this final combination.
This combination, as I said before, it's nothing technical, it's not too difficult, it just wastes time. And she is going to be very, very close.
This is going to be exceptionally close as she comes towards the final finish. The clock is about to turn red. Those time penalties will clock up. 0.4 of a penalty for every second over the time. Tom McEwen on 38.5. Keep an eye on Laura Collett's score. Tom McEwen is watching on closely. Is he about to take his first ever Event Rider Masters leg? No, he isn't, because Laura Collett tops the podium for the very first time in her career. She was the Equa Ratings favourite coming into the competition, Derm. She's just shown us why.
Absolutely. London 52 is a horse that we've been flagging for a long time. We've been waiting for all the phases to come together. They've never had a problem really of any note, and today they've put all the phases together. They've showed us that they have the speed. What a track it was cross country. It challenged not just the jumping, it was a very low jumping clear rate, but it also challenged the time as we expected. She met every question well. She's now the winner.
And Angus, she was pointing down at London 52. Dan, as he's known at home, she's had a tough time at times this spring. She adores this horse, but she did a very good job herself in the plate.
Yeah, I mean, we forget, this is very much a team game. We can't, as riders, we're only as good as what we're sat on. And if you're sat on a good horse, you have to do it justice. But actually, the horse has to do you justice as well. And it really is amazing the relationship you have with your horse.
Well, Laura Collett is the victor. Just hugging Karen Bartlett, one of the owners of London 52, Sam Albert there as well. There'll be a lot of people absolutely delighted for Laura here because she's been under a bit of pressure. She lost the title here 12 months ago with a pole down in the show jumping Derm. She was definitely not going to make that same mistake here 12 months on.
So much emotion at the finish. That's Laura and her mother. I talked about those fine lines at the top level. We've got people crying in the studio now as well. But there's the fine lines in sport, the disappointment of Mr. Bass at badminton, and to come back here with London 52, we've seen it. We've seen it with not just with Laura, but with so many event riders. It's such a difficult sport. It's a challenge to get back up each time, to pull yourself together, to get back in here. I thought this was going to be a really interesting way that we had to play this because Laura Collett, London 52, have been an overwhelming favourite for so long. There she is with Sam Watson, and again just showing that community that you have here in eventing, the disappointment of first Sam, and yet he's first one over there to see Laura.
Now, I'm just going to throw something out there. Laura just hugging Chris Bartle. Here, the winner of each leg of the Event Rider Masters has gone on in that very year as a horse and rider combination to represent their country at the year's major championship. Astier Nicolas won individual silver in Rio. Gemma Tattersall in Quick Look, individual 8th in Stragon. And last year, Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo, top 10 at the World Games. Are we going to see Laura Collett, London 52, continue that trend at Le Moulin in the European Stem?
I mean, I would love to say yes. I think Britain is probably the one country in Europe at the moment that you can say there is so much talent. Of course, it would be so easy for me to say, look, Chatsworth, London 52, and to get excited. But don't forget what we saw over the last 2 weeks as well. There is such a wealth of talent. Nobody can take their place for granted. And it's not just here. It's going to be across this whole summer. You've got to keep backing up and backing up and backing up that good performance. What she's done is given herself a really good platform to build on. She'll be delighted with that.
And just a word on Tom McEwen, who finished in second as well, Angus. Figaro Van Het Brookshoff, he gave the horse a super ride, consistent in all 3 phases to climb to second.
Yeah, Tom, I've said it before, he's one of my favourite riders to watch. And we saw why today, really. He's ridden a horse which actually, in brutal reality, isn't as talented as Laura's. It's a lot more difficult, probably, in that slightly unconventional to train. Laura's is very conventional to train. So actually, Tom used all of his talent there in a slightly different way to Laura. Both of the jobs they've done, unbelievably talented, well ridden. You know, they've trained the horses properly. Great result.
Brilliant job, and huge credit as well to Lucy Jackson. Superstition going into third. She gets her first Event Rider Masters podium as well, and she will be absolutely delighted with it because Superstition not that experienced. Well, huge drama here in the cross-country phase at Chatsworth. It is such a unique challenge for each of the 3 phases. The topography of Ian Stark's cross-country track really does set quite the influence. But we're going to see some of Laura Collett's cross-country round here. And Angus, she had a bit of a moment to that first element.
Oh, a little bit sticky, yeah. Just got a little fraction close to it, which obviously made it uncomfortable.
Well, Laura, I think it's safe to say, actually, she really did hold this horse's hand because he isn't that experienced at the level, Angus.
No, young horse, and there we said on the live commentary just how she snaked through it, and in the slow-mo it really showed it up, how she protected and held the horse's hand.
Now, also, SAP were offering an additional €250 to the winning rider if they did wear a Wilbury out on course. Laura has done, and she will be given the option of donating that to Hannah's Wilbury Wonder Pony charity. And if she does do so, then SAP will actually donate in her name double the amount as well. It is brilliant to hear that Hannah's Wilbury Wonder Pony charity is really making a difference in the world. Hannah was such an inspiration to us all, and it's good to see the top riders here supporting the charity as best as they can. SAP are our official technology sponsors, and very grateful to them for their continued support. In terms of the series, Derm, Laura Collett's just put herself well in contention in the series here.
Yeah, these points were going to be very valuable. Look, we had Laura Collett on the series podium last year, and we did put her up at the start of this as a series contender. Now, she's willing to travel, and don't forget about the other horse in her string that's going to be very useful for the Event Rider Masters, and that, of course, is the Capo.
Placed here as well.
Placed here in the other section, but to have both of those horses now in her string, they're set up well to target the series. I think that's a critical one. Angus, to give you an idea on just how hard it is to win, not just Chatsworth, but any 4-star short, Laura Collett has this is her 95th time to go out on track in a 4-star short, and it's her 5th win. You know, to think of this horses that Laura has, the quality that she has, and you know, it's only 5 wins. There you can see the leaderboard.
Well, she is the top of the leaderboard for leg 1 of the 2019 Event Rider Masters series. She wins in some style ahead of Tom McEwen, Figaro Van Het Brookshoff in second. Lucy Jackson makes the podium for the very first time. Superstition in third. Julia Krajewski, good series points for her as well. And a very good performance from Amanda de Benneville. Ryogan Ruakattle-Daniels climbed from 28th after dressage all the way up to 6th. He'll be absolutely delighted with that. And Izzy Taylor, Spring Power, who were our pathfinders out on course, also picking up good series points for Izzy, it must be noted. A little bit further on, Down the leaderboard, Flora Harris, amazing, just picking up time penalties for them. Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, victims of 15 penalties. There's a flag penalty for them, takes them out of contention. And unfortunately, to see a few of our young guns eliminated, but everybody up and okay after their falls and walking away, both horse and riders. So brilliant to see. It has been an incredible couple of days of sport here at Chatsworth, and it very much sets the scene for the 2019 Event Rider Masters Series. Here it is, the first of 6 legs in the series. 5 different countries. We head to Germany, to Wiesbaden next, and this is how the series leaderboard looks at the moment. Laura Collett, 30 points for winning here this weekend. But look at those big names: Julia Krajewski, Cathal Daniels, Izzy Taylor, getting very good points for Izzy Taylor. You want to watch out for those names because they are all going to be looking for big series points as the season progresses. But my goodness, what a day we have enjoyed. I think it's time we go back to the podium to Hannah.
Thank you, Nicole. What a nail biter it has been. The crowds are here in their hundreds, if not thousands, to see Lucy Jackson. Not only your first podium here at the ERM, but your first ever podium, you just told me.
Yeah, in an international and in an FEI. I'm super chuffed. He was brilliant today.
That was an absolute masterclass. You looked in such control all the way round.
I know, unfortunately, probably too much control. If I could have gone just that tiny bit quicker, but he's green, he's extravagant, he's pretty sort of arrogant at times, and there was just occasions where I needed to give him a bit more time to assess the fences. It was pretty busy. The course felt pretty busy, but I'm just chuffed to bits with him.
And you have to tell all the rest of the viewers and those here what you're going to spend your £8,000 on, because you just told me and I love it.
Well, I've actually got to buy some new boots. I don't know if you can zoom in, but I've had to tape my sole onto the boot to get round the course today. So thank you, Stinky Green Lease. I'm really excited I can have a new pair of boots this evening.
Lucy, a huge congratulations. We love having you on the podium. Second place, Tom McEwen. The last time we saw you on a podium was 2016, I think, and it is fabulous to see you back, Tom. How does it feel?
Yeah, very good. Sorry. Yeah, brilliant.
Well, you don't have to lie. If it's not great, you can tell us.
I just got a bit lost for words. Yeah, no, brilliant. I'm delighted for the horse, delighted for the owners. He went super. Great weekend, and nice to finish off in a bit of sunshine.
Oh, well, no fireworks there, Tom. Come on, you must be absolutely over the moon again. And not an easy track round there. And despite your 4 penalties in the show jumping, you did a great job.
Yeah. Like Lucy said, it's a real busy track. There's a lot coming up very quickly. The hills, taking a lot into consideration and trying to get out quick as you can, really. But yeah, it's riding with your brain rather than too much bravery sometimes.
Ever the cool cucumber. Tom, congratulations. Thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the leg 1 of the 2019 Event Rider Masters Series, Laura Collett. So we have to say goodbye to our 4th place, Julia Krajewski. An absolutely valiant effort, Julia, and we will see you back, no doubt, in Wiesbaden in the next leg, hopefully. So congratulations, Julia. Laura, we've had seconds in Arville. We had second overall last year. You have well and truly put your mark down for 2019.
Oh, that horse is unbelievable. He's finished second so many times, and he only started at 3-star last year. So he's a phenomenal horse, and I just can't believe it.
I mean, he's 10 years old. Selectors, everybody around the world, watch out, because this horse and this combination have an awful lot of a future.
Look, I only got him 3 years ago and he'd never done a cross-country fence in his life, so he's come a hell of a long way, and roll on the future.
There was a lot of chat about you being one of the favourites coming into this, and you have not disappointed when a lot of the other favourites came unstuck.
I mean, I'm just the luckiest girl in the world to sit on a horse like London 52, and I have to say a massive thank you to this girl here, because when I was at Badminton last week, she hacked him because no one else rides him at home, so she had the responsibility of tuning him up, so big thank you to Lucy.
Well, there you go. Maybe you can buy her some new boots then.
I'd say the pub's going to get it because we only live 5 minutes away, so...
Yeah, well, if you live close to these 2 girls, watch out, because it is going off. Congratulations to all our 3 podium finishers, Lucy Jackson, Tom McEwen and Laura Collett. And now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official prize giving for leg one of the Event Rider Masters 2019 here at the Dodson and Horrell Chatsworth International Horse Trials. And to present third place, please welcome Sam Horrell of Dodson and Horrell. Receiving prize money of £8,000, Riding Superstition, owned by Gillian Greenlees, representing New Zealand. Third place, Lucy Jackson. And to present second place, please welcome Chris Stone, chairman of the Event Rider Masters. Receiving prize money of £12,000, riding Figaro Van Het Broxoff, owned by Barbara Cooper, representing Great Britain. Second place, Tom McEwen. And now please welcome the Duchess of Devonshire to present the winner of leg one of the Event Rider Masters 2019. Prize money of £16,000, riding the glorious London 52, owned by Karen Bartlett, Keith Scott and Laura Collett herself, representing Great Britain. Leg winner, Laura Collett. Karen, Keith and Laura will also receive a 2-night stay in the Monarch Hotel in Ireland, compliments of the Monarch Elite Event Horse Sales. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, our top three.
What a weekend we have enjoyed here at Chatsworth. It has been thrills, it has been spills, but this young lady has led from the front. Laura Collett is your leg one winner in the 2019 Event Rider Masters Series. Can she build those series points? Can she build on her second place finish in the series in 2018? We will have to watch this space, but one thing is for certain, we will be bringing you all of the action from the remaining 5 legs right here at eventridermasters.tv. Thank you to all of our guests throughout the weekend. Thank you to all of our competitors, and thank you at home for watching. We will be back the 6th and the 7th of June in Wiesbaden, Germany for leg 2. Join us then.
Back to my